Yeah, all right. Am I audible to you clearly? And can you try speaking, Aman, so that I know if I can hear you? Thanks, Ronak. Aman, you're on mute. We can't hear you. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining in. I can't see the number of participants here right now. But yeah, we'll wait for a couple of minutes before we start. Uh, give others a bit of time to join. Okay. Yes, Aman, you're audible. I do. Let me try it out if it's working. Let me know once you can see it. Uh, yeah. All right then. Great. Uh, so should I keep it on share? Yeah. All right. That works. That's not a problem. Good. Yeah. Just been looking forward to this, and I'm traveling after this. Uh, Traveling to Udaipur. It's a friend's wedding. So going to Udaipur for that. Oh, you're in Udaipur? Is it? From tomorrow? Oh, let's catch up maybe. Like if we are able to find a common or what are you going there for? Oh, friends, do we have the same friend by any chance? What's your friend called? What's your friend's name? You can't remember your friend's name. You're going to his wedding. Okay. Okay. No. Okay. No. No. And no. It's not. Uh, and my friend is not getting married to someone called Gautam either. So yeah, it's I think it's that age. I think you've just gotten to that age where it starts. I've been there for a while. So yeah. So where can I see the participants? Okay, okay. I'm also okay waiting till like 5 or 6, 5 or 7. If okay, got it, got it, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I agree. I agree. Fair enough. Sure. Okay, then I'll just share my screen right away. And can I see people's like chat? Can they? Oh, great, great. Um, all right then. We'll just start. We'll just do a bit of introduction, and then maybe we can, you know, move to the presentation. Yes. Okay. Let me just share that presentation specifically. So window and yeah. All right. Okay. All right then. We'll just start. We'll just do a bit of introduction, and then maybe we can get dive into the session, talk about the objective of it, and I also want to sort of understand your expectations, so we can and your background, so that we can make the best out of this session. So I'll introduce myself in a bit once we have a few more participants and set up the agenda for the session. But before that, I'd like to know a bit about you guys. So, if in the chat box you can just tell what your background is, if you passed any number of actual exams, how many exams have you passed, and what is your like expectation from this session? What are you expecting to understand, learn? Why have you come here? So if you can just type in the chat box those two things, just uh, tell me how many exams you've passed, and what is it your expectation from the session. And see, the session will only be useful to you if you are interactive, because I don't want it to be a monologue. We would ideally prefer that it's a two-way sort of conversation. While I have some prepared material, and uh, I think we uh, being in the industry for 6 7 years, there is some perspective on like what should be the ideal actuarial path, and what are the different paths you can take, and that's what we'll talk about. But then we can address your specific questions as well. Aman, do you want to say something? Yeah. Okay. Meryl says wrote CS1, CB2, and CB3 waiting for results. Okay, wow, that's 3 exams in one attempt. That's good. What are the paths to be chosen after course? Makes sense. Yeah, that's what we'll be addressing. We'll be talking about all the paths. Um, Great. Welcome, Meryl. Thanks a lot, Aman. I am visible, right? You guys can all see myself, and my screen is also visible, right? Great, great. All right. Okay. So welcome everyone, and thanks for that bloated introduction. I would say, Aman, I am not half of the person that Aman describes me to be. I'm just learning, like all of you, just figuring my path through the corporate career. It's just that I have the advantage of being a few years ahead of you. So my only credential really is that I was born a few years before most of you, and I started these things a couple of years ago. So there have been some learnings through the past couple of years. What I've learned myself, what I've seen my friends doing, and then over the past almost 6-7 years, I've been teaching the actuarial exams, and I've mentored a lot of students. A lot of my students have gone on to become fellow actuaries and associate actuaries, so it's their learnings as well. I've tried to consolidate all of that into one session, sort of talk about if you are someone who has passed a couple of exams or just taken exams or just even is thinking about taking exams, what should be your road ahead, right? What are the different paths, right? uh, at this point it gets very confusing for most people which part to choose, whether to go for life insurance or general insurance. How can I get into finance? What is data science, right? There are a bunch of questions, right? So the actuarial journey can actually diverge a lot, right, apart from the traditional path. And it can get very confusing and intimidating. So that is what we are trying to simplify today. We are going to talk about how the ideal traditional journey looks, and then what are the different divergent paths. If I'm to talk a bit about me, I graduated about 7 years ago from St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, with a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance. Uh, Along with my graduation itself, I had a startup, and I passed a couple of actuarial science exams. I was always very passionate about teaching, so I started teaching right out of college, right after my college, and I started my YouTube channel, which is called as the Actuarial Guy. And I also taught with a coaching institute for a couple of years. Post which I realized that the traditional actuarial path wasn't for me. It did not interest me a lot. So I went on to, work into roles which were related to data science after doing my master's degree in economics. And through data science, I was also able to get into business strategy kind of roles, right? So I've done that almost for 3 years, where I did analytics and data science and business strategy subsequently. So that is broadly where I am coming from. uh, while I was doing all of this, I continued to teach actuarial science and mentor students. This is what really brings me joy. So that is why I am here as well, so that my experience is able to help you guys out, right? So without further ado, I'll just get into the session for today, and it's all about which road should you take after a couple of actuarial science exams, and how to leverage your actual exams the best way, right? What will we talk about today? So I have about 30 minutes of material prepared, so I'll go through that, and then at the end of it we can go through your questions. So firstly, we'll talk about what skills do actuarial science exams teach you, and what are their applications in the industry across traditional and non-traditional roles. Then we'll talk about what are in 5, 7, 10 years. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. So great. Talked about the kind of employer there. Now let's talk about what are the different kinds of roles. So within life insurance, you have your pricing roles, where you're calculating the premium for the life insurance policy. You have your valuation or reserving sort of roles, where you are calculating the reserves. Modeling, where you're doing the profit testing kind of modeling, and doing the financial modeling basically for the insurance policies. And then you have your reinsurance roles, right, where you're working with the reinsurer, right? uh, Employee benefits also, you have very similar roles again, as life insurance. These are your long term sort of contracts, right? Your employee benefits is a long term business, because pensions, gratuities, all of them have a long gestation period. Life insurance is also long term business, right? whole life assurance policies are very long. Term assurance policies are typically also long, like 5-10 years, whatever, right? So this is your long-term business roles, and these are inherently very, very different from your short-term business roles, which are your general insurance and health insurance kind of roles. These are just 1 year contracts, right? So the kind of mathematics that is used in life insurance and the kind of mathematics that is used for your P&C or general insurance and your health insurance is very different from each other. That's why these are more if we will get into which one should you prefer between the two in the next slide. But yeah, within general insurance, you have your pricing roles, you have your reserving roles, you have your regulatory compliance kind of roles, which are there just so the company can comply better with the regulatory norms, and to ensure those compliances. And then you have your reinsurance roles. Again, the nomenclature is similar, but the inherent nature of the role is very different. The math is very different, right? Moving on, which traditional industry should you prefer? You guys already asked about the kind of employer, which one should you prefer? I answered that. Which industry should you prefer, and what is the kind of role that you should prefer? It depends on your personal preference. For example, if you enjoyed statistical modeling in CS2, you should go for your general insurance pricing kind of roles, right? Because these are very mathematical in nature. With general insurance, you will see that the variety of products is really wide, right? You can insure cars, you can insure mobile phones, you can insure aircrafts, you can insure anything, right? Any asset can be insured, right? So the variety of problems there is very wide, right? And thus the sort of parameters that are used to price those contracts are also very different, right? So for example, for a car, what you would check is like how many people are driving it, what is its make, how long is it driven on the road for, how many challans does it get, things like that, right? Which would be very different from a contract which is for an aircraft, right? So the variety is very wide, and the statistical modeling here tends to be very intense, right? Because both, if you have studied CS2, you would realize both the amount of the claim and the number of the claims, both of them are random variables, right? So because both of them are random variables, the mathematical modeling is very intense here, right? uh, so if you enjoyed statistical modeling, you should go for general insurance, right? And general insurance also leads to a beautiful path to data science, which we'll talk about later. If you enjoyed cash flow modeling in CM1, then you should go for your life insurance pricing or modeling kind of roles, right? So those are some rules of thumb. Others I have not mentioned because I believe, in my personal opinion, these are the best sort of roles. Other roles, I mean, you can prefer them, but these are the best ones, right? That's for the sake of being politically correct, I'll just stick to these two, right? So these are the best sort of roles based on whatever your preference is. Now let's move on. And before that, let's see if you have questions. Uh, Weber is asking, does Olympic events insurance also fall under general insurance? Yes, it should. Yes, it should. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Good to see you guys being interactive. Great. Uh, yeah. Great. Then let's move on to the next thing, which is okay, you have decided to go to the traditional sort of roles. You have decided what role you want to pick. What are some of the best practices for getting your first traditional actuarial job? There are two, broad themes here. The first one is you have to make your profile stand out, and the second one is that you have to network really well and be visible online. You ensure these two things, you will get your first job easily. And trust me, today it is much easier to get your fresher level actual job as it was about 6-7 years ago. In 2017, 18, 19, when I graduated, 2017, I graduated from college, the market was really bad. Today, it's really good, very easy to get your first job. You just need to take care of these things so that you are able to be a chooser instead of someone who has to be a kind of a beggar in this situation. You take whatever it takes. You take whatever comes your way. If you don't want to be in that situation, you want to be in a situation where you get to choose. I have 3 offers. Which one should I pick? Which one is the best one? What is my preference? Then you focus on these 2 things, right? So the first one is you make your profile stand out, and the second one is that you network well and be visible online. How to make your profile stand out? First one, pass as many exams as possible, as early as possible. Build solid foundations of your concepts. See, here the thing is that a lot of people would tell you, don't over qualify, don't like do too many exams too early. That constraint comes in for the inferior types of jobs. Let me put it that way, right? It is those jobs which do not offer a lot of career progression. That is where people do not want you to pass a lot of exams early. The good quality jobs, people would always prefer you having more exams, because that shows that you're a smarter person who's able to pass exams faster, right? Second thing is, the worst thing that people do with actuarial exams is that people cram formulas, plug them into answer, and plug them into the question, solve, pass the exam, manage to get 60, 65, somehow pass the exam. If you do not build solid foundational concepts, if you do not understand the mathematics, especially for these 4 core principles exams, it would be very difficult to get good quality jobs. You would struggle throughout your career. You would struggle in interviews, and finally, with non-traditional jobs, you would struggle even more, because if you're not understood stochastic modeling well, you won't be able to go for that non-traditional job in quantitative finance. So I would say, understand the mathematics really well, right? Sit with your combined material pack properly, right? And see, honestly, you would realize this when you go to a lot of coaching institutes. They would make you cram formulas and sort of somehow manage to pass the exam, right? And actual exams tend to be repetitive in terms of their pattern, right? So questions repeat a lot. There's a pattern. So if you crack the pattern, you're able to pass the exam, but you have not really understood the concept. So I would say focus on the concept, uh, and try to study in a way where you're appreciating the beauty of the mathematics and not just cramming formula, right? So pass more exams, build foundational concepts. Second is, build good computational skills, don't cram syntax, right? When it comes to programming, whether it's R programming, whether it's Python, any other language, see, the syntax does not matter, the logic matters. So you have to become a good logician. You have to solve a lot of online, programming quizzes, puzzles, right? A lot of competitions are held, a lot of case studies are available online. So your first principle programming skills should be good, right? You should really understand how to take a mathematical problem, break it down, and then solve it through any language, right? So try to build good computational skills. The third one is, master one language but be a jack of all, right? So you need to master one of them. You can master R, you can master Python, right? But just briefly, broadly know the syntax of all of them, just have an idea, right? So that is how you can actually, your profile can stand out when being shortlisted. If someone sees all 3 languages and Excel and VBA on your profile, they'll definitely shortlist you, right? Good Excel skills are still rare in the industry. I know a lot of senior people, their Excel skills are still very questionable. Uh, Spend a lot of hours with Excel, work on your shortcuts, you know, uh, try to learn VBA, try to also do Google Sheets and app script. That is also very powerful, right? So your spreadsheet skills need to be really good, right? So this is something you can work on. And then finally, ChatGPT is your best friend. These programming languages, you don't need to cram syntax, you don't need to sort of always build the logic. The first principle, logic, should be clear. You should be able to tell it to chat gpt to code it for you. If you're able to do it, you are good, right? Because for most of your professional careers, you will only be coding through AI now. You won't be writing entire pieces of code yourself, but that does not mean that you do not understand the code that it is giving. You have to understand the code, and you have to like get an AI to execute it for you, right? The next one is network well and be visible online. You have to read more and more about insurance and the upcoming trends in insurance. You have to build a LinkedIn persona or a YouTube channel or write blogs. Do whatever it takes, right? I see you don't have to check all of these boxes. You don't have to do all of these things, but these are just suggestions on some of the things you can do. When you're visible online, right? When senior and mid-level actuarial professionals see you, right? Then uh, your profile stands out, and then you're able to network easily. When you message someone, they take you seriously because they've heard your uh, you know they've seen something on your YouTube channel before, or they've read your post, you popped up on their profile, they've read your blog or something like that, right? So try to be visible online, right? That always works really well, and it's also really fulfilling, right? Like to build content is a lot of fun for a lot of people, so you can leverage that. Be original. Don't use AI to write content and push it online. Really talk about the things that you understand and try to understand more as much as possible. And finally, to get a job, you need to send out cold messages. A lot of times I've seen, just based on cold messages, a lot of people have been able to get jobs, and these were people with the most subpar profiles. They were able to get jobs because they were just persistent, right? The turnaround rate is low, so you need to send out a lot of messages and make them sort of personalized. uh, and this really works like charms and a charm, and you just need to crack one role, right? You don't need to crack all of them, right? So yeah, I would say cold messaging does work. Any questions at this point? How to avoid burnout when struggling juggling between work and paper deadlines? So yeah, that's the most difficult part about actuarial science. It's tough to balance work and exams. One of the things that really works is, see, uh, if you're here because you enjoy mathematics and you're passionate about mathematics, you would not get as burnt out. Try to enjoy your subjects more, try to read them properly, right? Try to derive joy there itself. Don't uh, just look at exams as boxes to tick. So that's the first one. Second, I'm sure you are already beyond this, but I would advise this to all the people who are in college at the moment. uh, Try to pass all of the mathematical exams with your college itself, because it gets very difficult alongside job. Finally, for working professionals, my advice usually is that you have to be persistent and regular. You have to keep your reading new material and consuming new theory on uh, weekends, and you have to solve questions on weekdays after work, right? That is a strategy that really works. Weekends for new material and new theory, you watch your uh, lectures, you sort of go through the CMP, new content on weekend, and weekdays you do more of your uh, question solving, right? So these are some things that really work. And then uh, some of the jobs are easier to manage alongside exams, so you might want to consider switching to those jobs, right? Gursifat is asking, could you throw some light on retirement industry as well? Gursifat, see, the thing is that retirement industry, I am not an expert on it, firstly, but I would not recommend picking employee benefits or retirement over insurance or over non-traditional jobs, because one, a lot of work in retirement is now being automated. Good quality work in retirement in India or anywhere, I mean, I've not seen a lot of good quality work being done in that space, right? It's sort of, a lot of people call it a dying industry. So retirement is something I'm not very bullish on, and that's why I did not like tell you who should prefer retirement. I don't think a lot of people should. And most people in retirement I talk to, they always want to move to insurance. And most people I talk to in insurance, they don't want to take people from retirement. So that's the reality of the industry. Okay. So let's move on. So now I've told you how to get your first job, how to build a great actuarial career. Let's talk about that. Three tips here. First, see, a lot of people will tell you, get into one job, stick to it, do that for the rest of your life. Most people end up doing that. I would say find what you love. Sample through different roles, sample through different kinds of employers, sample through different industries very initially, right? So maybe you do your first internship in general insurance, then you do your first job in life insurance. Try to sample through, see what fits you the best, and then stick to one, right? So diversify first, specialize later. That's what I would advise. It's very difficult to move between different industries because employers are conservative that way, but it's in your interest to definitely try out all of them very early on. Second, have an innovation mindset. Insurance has a great opportunity to disrupt. I told you that it is a laggard of an industry. The insurtech revolution is coming. You can really contribute towards that. You can really drive that. Finally, if you have it in you, think entrepreneurship. Uh, for a lot of people, what really works well is that they do their jobs for first 5, 7, 6, 7 years, right? They qualify as a fellow. They have that insurance experience. If you are entrepreneurial, you can venture out and start your independent consulting. I have seen a lot of people build good consulting businesses in actuarial science, make a lot of good money, and also get a lot of interesting work. Then you can pick and choose what is the work you're doing, right? And then a lot of these actuaries who are doing consulting also tend to pick non-traditional projects, right? So you can mix and match. You can do some traditional work, some non-traditional work, all of that, right? So those would be my three advices for a great actuarial career, right? So yeah, that's all for traditional industries, right? Like now let's move into non-traditional roles. I'll give you some non-traditional roles quickly, how to get to them, and then I'll talk about the exemptions, right? So I'll go through this quickly. Okay. So non-traditional careers are for the crazy people, right? Who feel like they are misfits in just the traditional sort of insurance industry and want to do something more exciting or different, right? Any questions at this point from your side? Okay, let's move on. So non-traditional careers, let's talk about them. So the first non-traditional career is data science. Now, firstly, what is data science? Data scientists are people who use statistics and quantitative analysis to solve business problems across industries. They are not limited to one industry like insurance or finance or anything. They can be in FMCG, they can be in production, they can be in sports, gaming, whatever you name, right? Every industry has different business problems which can be solved through data driven solutions, right? So they're not limited by any industry. Now, how do you become a data scientist? There are two paths. From your actuarial qualification or like some actuarial exam, let's say you are someone with the 3 or 4 actuarial exams, you have done these initial actuarial exams, and now you think that you want to go towards data science. What are the two paths that you have, right? And these are paths that I've seen in the industry. I'll show you profiles of people who have done it so that you see like this can be done. I'm not talking out of thin air, right? I will give you examples of people who have done it, right? So the first path is this. uh, if you want to eventually get into data science, you feel like that is something that might interest you later, right? After completing your qualification, what you can do is you can start in general insurance pricing, because I told you that's very quantitative, that's very statistical in nature. You qualify as a fellow or an associate actuary, right? Then what you do is within your company or within the insurance industry, you move towards an analytics or data science role. And then finally, once you've gotten that data science analytics experience within insurance, then you venture outside insurance as a data scientist. So this is the sort of path. First GI pricing, then analytics data science within insurance, then you move out. These two guys have done it. I'll show you the profiles. Abhijit Pal, he's an old friend of mine, or acquaintance at least. And he is right now the deputy managing director and chief analytics officer at Munich Re. Uh, so if you see Abhijit's profile, he actually used to be an actuarial manager, then went on to this actuarial kind of a role in Munich Re, and then moved on to become the director and chief analytics officer at Munich Re itself. So he has taken that path. He's moved into data science, right? He's moved out of actuarial science in a way, right? So that is one path that you can take. Similarly, Ankush has also done this. Uh, Ankush Agarwal used to work at ACO, was an associate director actuary at ACO, went to be a partner machine learning. This is a core data science role, right? So, and then now he's again back uh, into sort of an insurance actual role, but right now he's building ML capabilities in PNC insurance space. So that's a very data science thing to do, right? So again, these people started in general insurance, moved to data science, right? So that's one way to go to data science for you if you qualify and then you want to go, right? The other path is that you pass core principle exams, core principle plus plus, because some core principle exams, something more than the core principle exam, up to you. Then you get a quantitative master's degree. Now, what kind of quantitative master's degree? Can be an quantitative economics degree in India, can be a data science degree outside India, can be a statistics degree in India, right? All of these degrees work, right? And then you move to a data science roles, right? So why is this a good idea? Because once you do some of your initial actuarial exams, the master's entrance exams are a cakewalk. I cracked my quantitative economics exams studying for 15 days. Just 15 days I was able to crack it because I had already taught CS1, CS2, right? So this is a good path because you've already gotten that quantitative flavor. You already know like the theory. You just getting that master's degree is very easy to get through, right? And then after that master's degree, data science role is not difficult. uh, I have done this, so I'll show you my profile. So again, you guys can follow me on LinkedIn, send a connection request. So I used to be, well, I was doing an actual role. I just did an internship here. I had passed the CT series or the core principles by here. Then I did my master's degree, right? So I'll show you my master's degree. That's in economics from IGIDR Mumbai, right? And then I went on to be a data science guy. I did strategy analytics, data science. I was doing management consulting analytics with PwC, right? So this path is possible as well, right? And other people have also done it. I'll show you other guys who have done it. Wait, has my oh, oh, okay, okay. I'm so sorry. I figured that when I came back to. Okay, sorry. I'll just show you those profiles. Yeah. Okay. Firstly, I'll talk about the guys who qualified. Abhijit, the first guy I was talking about, right? So Abhijit used to be an actuarial manager, and he was working in general insurance pricing, health insurance pricing particularly, and then went on to become a deputy managing director and chief analytics officer at Munich Re, right? So this was the first one. Then I was talking about Ankush, who was an actuary, worked at ACO, then uh, he was a partner ML. Now he's applying ML models in insurance space itself, right? Then I was showing you my profile. Now they are visible, right? Great, great, great. So I did my master's in economics from IGIDR Mumbai, and then did like some analytics and data science roles, right? So that path is possible, right? I'll show you one more guy. This one was very interesting. I found him to be very interesting. Yeah, this guy Shikhar. So this person qualified as a fellow, right? He qualified. He was working RSA. RSA, by the way, has a very good general insurance practice. And then went to University of Chicago to do applied data science, and then move to data science sort of roles, right? So yeah, a lot of people do this, right? So this is how you get into data science. Now, any questions? Let me see if you have questions. What do you find the rewarding part of actual teaching journey? Would you suggest picking that after a while in India? Well, teaching is very fulfilling. Uh, you can teach with universities, you can start your own sort of tutoring, but do teaching only if you're passionate about teaching. It's a very different skill set. It's very fulfilling for some people, for other people it's just frustrating. And don't do teaching just for the sake of creating a coaching business. That's what I would advise, right? um, how do you compete with IT engineers? How do you differentiate or pick a niche? uh, I am guessing, Vaibhav, you're talking about data science. Well, data science, again, these master's degree help you differentiate yourself, right? Because when you do a statistics or a economics master, the IT engineers have a skill in coding, just coding, but your statistics foundations are better. As someone who's done 4 or 5 exams of actuarial science plus, that master's degree, so that really works well. When you go for it after qualifying as a fellow, well, then you have already differentiated yourself. Your knowledge of the insurance business is amazing. You've done a lot of quant, right? You've already differentiated yourself. um that's great, Erica. Then I mean, definitely you should give it a thought. Maybe we can talk about it. Figure out what the teaching path for you can be. I'm happy to help with that. Great, great, guys. And sorry about the mess up with the links. Anyway, let's talk about the other non-traditional career. The other non-traditional career that I want to talk about is quantitative finance. Now, who is a quant? Quantitative finance is a very exploited sort of word, but who is a quant? Quant in in the finance industry is anyone who uses stochastic calculus particularly and time series modeling to conceptualize, build, or validate financial models, right? So the must is that they have to use stochastic calculus that we study in CM2 and time series modeling, or either one of them, to build financial models. And the roles that are quantitative finance kind of roles generally come by the name of market risk modeling, credit risk modeling, right? These are basically building models for derivative sort of contracts or credit risk situations, right? And then there are roles for model risk management, which is a role for validating the models that other people have built, right? So that's the quantitative finance niche. Now, how do you go to quantitative finance? The paths again are very similar that I showed you for data science. Either you qualify as a fellow actuary and you work initially in banking or investments, and then you move to a quantitative finance role, right? These two people have done it. I'll quickly show you their profiles. I hope they're visible now. So I saw Parshwa's profile today itself. He used to be an actuarial person, so he is a fellow, and he's worked in a lot in banking. So Basel 2, Basel 3, all of this is banking stuff, right? Uh, yeah, so he was working in banking actuarial practice with Deloitte, and then now he's moved to BlackRock, which is a private equity, right? So he's doing applied risk and performance quant, right? So he's a core quant guy now, right? Similarly, Prerna, I think she's doing it within an insurance sort of contract context with WTW. Again, she's an FIAI. She also did her CFA, but yeah, this is how you can go about it. The other path, again, very similar. You pass some core principle exam, you do a quantitative finance or an economics degree, then you go to quant finance role. You can do it in India or abroad. These two guys have done it. They are good friends of mine. Harmeet did it, I think, from Dublin. Again, he's working in BlackRock. Uh, he used to teach with us as well at some point when I was working with this coaching institute. Uh, yeah, so he did couple of exams. He's done all of these exams. Oh, he's done quite a few, right? And then he went on to do his masters in quantitative finance, right? And then finally he just landed a quant role. Similarly, Manu did it, and I'll show you that guy. Wait, right? He did his masters from India, ISI. He did quantitative economics, MSQE there, and then now he's working with UBS. He has a MRM role, which is model risk management, which is what I was telling you about here, model risk management, right? So that's how you can actually go to a data science or a quant finance role. You can either venture early after a couple of exams, doing a master's degree, bridging that gap, or you qualify as a fellow and then you move. Any questions at this point? Okay, we are slightly over time. I just have one slide remaining, just talking about the exemptions. Okay, no questions. Let's do the last slide and then we can take a few questions maybe. Great. So let's talk about the recent II exemption announcement and their implications. So what II has done recently is they've given exemptions to some professionals, which is CAs, CMAs, CS, all of those guys. And what they are doing is they are giving exemptions to top tier institutes of India, namely Indian Statistical Institute, IITs, IIMs, all of that, right? Why are they doing this? Uh, there, there are okay, there's one said reason, which is what they're saying is that they want people from these uh, colleges, these good colleges and professions to sort of add actuarial qualification as sort of a niche qualification. The second thing, I think the agenda clearly here is that for a lot of these professions, these alumni of these colleges and these professions have a hegemony. They have a complete control of those professions. For example, finance in India is completely dominated by CAs, CFAs, all of those guys, right? Your data science in India is completely dominated by engineers and quant economics and statistics guys, right? So what they want to do is they want that alumni or those students from those colleges to also add the actuarial qualification to their profile, right? So that they are able to showcase in the industry which they are anyway going to go, that is the data science sort of or quantitative finance kind of industry. That actuarial qualification brings a lot of value, and then eventually actuaries can get hired there. Right now it's very difficult to directly get hired as an actuary in those industries. As I showed you, you have to either go for a master's or you have to complete your fellowship, move through insurance, all of that, right? So IA is trying to make that route smoother, right, is what I think, right? List of exemptions, well, you can refer to this is on their website. I wanted to go through this in detail, but I think we're slightly over time. But let's quickly do it. ISI, couple of programs have your exemptions in your CSCM exams. uh, IIMs, they've given exemptions to again some of your CB exams, some of your SP level exams, right? uh, IIT people, they're giving exemptions again in some of your initial exams, right? So that's what they're doing. For CAs, they have given these business finance, business economics kind of exemptions, right? So you can go through this list actually, the fairly intuitive list, right? Nothing to explain here. Finally, what I want to talk about is that based on these things, can you create some advantageous combinations for yourself which help you build a good career out of these combinations? I think there are 2 3 possibilities here. The first one is a CA plus actuarial science combination. Now this is a question that I get a lot, like if I do CA plus actuarial science, is it even beneficial? What can I do out of it? I think there's only one really good application of it, right? Which is you become a consultant, you start your independent consulting, right? And then you become a subject matter expert in insurance compliance. Okay. So you do all the other sort of compliances for insurance which chartered accountants typically take care of, like you do internal audit sort of work, you do your finance due diligence sort of work, right? And you add your actuarial knowledge to it, right? So that is something you can do. A lot of CAs uh, also, work with a variety of companies which need employee benefits valuation. So along with your CA practice, you can get an EB valuations kind of practice. Also, this can also help you become the CFO of an insurance company, the CA plus actuarial science combination. So that's also an application. uh, then your quantitative masters plus actuarial science, what do you do with this combination? With this, you can either become, a sort of data scientist, or you can go for a non-traditional actuarial role. Particularly, data science has applications for this combination, as I had told you earlier as well. And finally, MBA plus actuarial science. This can help you rise to the top level of an insurance company. You can become a CEO or a CFO of an insurance company with this combination. So yeah, that's all from my side. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you want to connect with me, you have any other questions which you want to take up after the session, or I teach your CS and CM courses, right? CS and CM exams. I have courses on them. I teach in a lot of detail with a lot of intuition derivations, right? Really giving you the nuance of that mathematics. So you can check out my courses on my YouTube channel and theactuarialguy.com, right? And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want any advice, any help, you can just reach out to me on WhatsApp, right? So save these. Um, yeah, any questions? I'll just come to the chat now. That's all from my side. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Weber. I'm glad you found it to be helpful. Yeah. Thanks, Aman. Thanks for having me here, and it's always great to talk to students. Guys, please connect with me. I've shared all of my social media with you. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm again dropping my number on the chat, so you can reach out there itself. Yeah, 829036. Perfect. All right then. Thanks a lot for joining. Glad you found it to be helpful. Okay. Bye bye.